Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are going to view a little more about the OpenClose setup and the indicators that we use to paint the signals. On this chart we can see the Dow Jones on a Unirenko chart, where it is very easy to detect OpenClose signals when the bar changes color. On other bar types it is more difficult because we have more noise. If we check the parameters of the indicator, we can see that we have mainly these are the conditions to paint a short signal and this for a long signal. The only condition that we are looking here is that the bar is closing down for a short signal and closing up on a long signal. We can add also the number of consecutive bars that must meet this condition. So now we get a signal at the second bar closing in same direction. This is to filter when we have noise. All the other parameters we are going to review them on a different bar type, because on this bar type it is not necessary. Let's say that we go to a 5-minute chart. I will choose a candle type so we can see the color of the bars. And the first that we can see is that we have a lot of signals, a lot of noise. It is very difficult to have an idea of the trend direction. The candle color depends on if the bar closes to the upside or to the downside. When the bar closes to the upside we have a long signal, and when it closes to the downside we have a short signal. To be able to smooth this movement we have several options. The worst case will be using a faster minute time frame, like for example 1 minute. Here we have a lot of more signals, and we can average a little using a slower time frame, like for example 15 minutes. Now we have more well-defined trend direction signals. If we want to stay on a faster time frame, like for example 5 minutes, we can add more filters. For example, if we look at the close, we can use line on close. Here we can see that a higher close or a lower close paint a signal. On this example we have a higher close, but we are not getting a signal. This is because we are looking at the color of the bar, not at the location of the close. We can change that setting. Instead of looking at the bar color, we can look at the close. So we want a higher close for a long signal and a lower close for a short signal. So now we are not looking at the color, just the location of the close versus the previous close. And now we can see that we have this signal. And now if we add also the color of the bar, then we have an extra filtering. So let's say that we paint long signals when the close is higher and also the color is to the upside. This is the first level of filtering. But even so, we have a lot of signals. So we can keep adding more conditions. Let's see some examples. This bar is different color, close is lower, but the high is not lower, it has a higher high. Same for the low is equal, not lower. So now we can add more extra conditions. Like for example, we want for a short that the high be lower. So we select a lower high for the short signals and a higher low for the long signals. Now we removed some of the fake signals. Even so, we still have some noise. For example, on these signals, we can look at the other extreme of the bar. This example is an upside bar, has a close higher than the previous, a higher low, but the high is not higher. So we can add this additional condition. For a long signal we add a higher high, and for a short signal a lower low. And now we have the maximum level of filtering, looking only at one bar with all these four conditions. Now it looks much better. But even so, there are some places where we still have noise, and then we can add more options. Like for example, instead of looking at one bar, we need two bars following all the conditions. Now we get a delay, but also a much better filtering. We have two consecutive signals with the same color, lower high, lower low, lower close, and now the result is much more smooth, less signals, and more effective. And this is using a very difficult to smooth bar type like the mini type. But if we go to something like a range bar, we can even start removing part of the filters. Like for example, we can start by decreasing the number of consecutive bars, only one bar with all the conditions, different color, lower low, lower high, and lower close. And if we even add the Heiken Ashi smoothing, we can add the Heiken Ashi indicator so we can see the bar color. On Heiken Ashi we have fake calculated open and close. These are not real, are calculated with an average of the previous bar. But now the color of the bars are even smoother than before. So now we can just look at the color, but for that we need a different indicator. Instead of the NBars, we need to use the Heiken Ashi bars. I will start with the minimal conditions, only one bar, and looking at just the color. So we have a signal each time the bar changes color. Here we have some noise, and we can start adding the same filters that we saw previously, like on this example we have a higher close, a higher high, and also a higher low, and the red bar has a lower close, lower low, and lower high. So even setting all the parameters, all the filters, we cannot remove that fake signal. So we can add 2 bar conditions, and now we have a more smooth signal. If we look this on a 5-minute chart, the filtering is even better. We are looking the condition on 2 bars, so only at the second bar following all the condition we get a signal. If we remove some of the conditions, for example, if we leave only the color, then we get, for example, this long, because we have 2 consecutive bars with different color, so we get a signal. We can see it is very easy to follow this setup. We just need to look at the bar color. That depends on the direction of the close of the bar, and we can add the filters that we saw previously, like having a higher high, having a higher low, and also having a higher close. And as we saw, all these signals can be painted by this custom indicator. Any question, please post below this video. Thank you everyone, bye bye.